Welcome to Conspiracist.
Great to be here.
Today, we're undertaking quite a deep dive into a really compelling hypothesis. The idea that governments have intentionally concealed evidence related to the legend of the Anunnaki.
It's a big one. Lots of layers to peel back.
Exactly. We'll be exploring the claims around these ancient Mesopotamian deities and these assertions that their real history is being suppressed somehow.
Right. And our aim, as always, is to look at this objectively.
Absolutely. We want to evaluate the information available, the reasoning behind the claims, and really maintain a professional and unbiased perspective throughout.
It's definitely a complex area. You've got ancient mythology colliding with very modern interpretations and theories.
So we've got sources detailing the origins of the Anunnaki and Mesopotamian culture, their roles, the whole extraterrestrial angle.
And, crucially, this core idea of a government cover-up. We need to see what supports that specific claim.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. Lay the foundation. Who were the Anunnaki, according to the actual ancient Mesopotamian beliefs?
Well, they pop up across the major cultures. They're Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, Babylonian.
So pretty central figures.
Very central. And the name itself, Anunnaki, it's often translated as something like those who came from the heavens.
Ah, so that celestial connection is right there in the name.
It suggests it, yeah. And this fits with how their religion developed. Mesopotamian belief emerging with writing around the mid-4th millennium BC. It started kind of focusing on worshiping nature's forces.
Okay.
But over time, these forces got personified. They became gods, a whole pantheon. And by the later period, say the 2nd and 1st millennia BC, you see more emphasis on personal devotion and a very clear hierarchy, like a monarchy of gods.
With national gods for different states.
Exactly. And each major city typically had its own patron deity. You'd find their temples, often these massive ziggurats, right in the city centers.
Right, the ziggurats. They sound incredibly important. What do we think their actual purpose was?
Well, it's still debated by scholars, honestly. But a leading theory is they were symbolic links. Bridges, maybe, between Earth and the divine realm.
Like a way for the gods to come down? Or people to ascend?
Perhaps. Or maybe representing cosmic mountains. It reinforces that celestial connection for gods like the Anunnaki. And the Anunnaki themselves, they're often presented as the children of the primordial gods, An, who was heaven, and Ki, who was earth.
So their union kind of kicks things off.
It's foundational in their cosmology, yes.
Okay, so within this pantheon, who were some of the key Anunnaki figures? What were their roles?
Right. Well, you have Enlil. He was the air god, hugely powerful, immense authority. His word was sublime, holy, unalterable, seen as scrutinizing the whole world.
Sounds intense.
He was heavily associated with kingship, too. Lots of Mesopotamian rulers saw him as their patron. And interestingly, in the famous flood myth...
The Mesopotamian version.
Yes. It's Enlil who decides, right, let's destroy humanity, though Enki foils that plan later. Enlil was also the father of Ninlil.
Okay, and Ninlil's story connects to his, leading to another god.
Exactly. Ninlil was Enlil's consort. There's a specific myth about how Enlil's water impregnates her, and she becomes the mother of Nanna, the moon god.
Nanna, or Sin, right?
Also known as Sin, yes. Usually shown bearded, crescent moon headdress, maybe riding a winged bull or a boat. He holds a crescent scepter sometimes.
And he has kids, too. More gods.
He does. Father of Utu, the sun god, and Inanna, the goddess of love and war. So you see these intricate family ties building up.
Utu and Inanna. They were major players, too, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Utu, also called Shamash, was the god of justice and truth, really embodying order, fairness.
A moral compass, kind of?
You could say that.
Yeah.
And his sister, Inanna, or Ishtar, as the Akkadians knew her, she's fascinating. Goddess of love and war. Very powerful, very complex.
Dual roles there.
Highlights how multifaceted their deities could be. Then there's Ninhursag. She's one of the oldest, most important goddesses, daughter of Anu and Antu, basically the mother goddess of the earth.
Creator of life, fertility.
All of that. Fertility, childbirth, nurturing. Often she's paired with Enki as his consort, and in some traditions, they're both credited with creating humans.
Enki again. He seems to pop up a lot, often as a sort of protector figure for humans.
That's a really key aspect of Enki, or Ea as he was also known. God of water, crucially, and wisdom. Portrayed as a benefactor, a helper.
Didn't one story say he actually shaped mankind from clay?
That's one tradition, yes. And his role in the flood myth, saving Utnapishtim, that really cements his role as a guardian.
Yeah.
He's also linked to this item called the Shushgal net.
What's that?
Its exact nature is debated, but it likely symbolizes his wisdom, his power, maybe his control over water or creation. And finally, you can't forget Marduk.
The Babylonian god.
Right. He rose to supreme prominence as Babylon's patron deity. The Babylonian creation epic, the Enuma Elish, tells how he defeated the chaos monster Tiamat.
And created the world from her body.
Exactly. And humanity, too, in that version. He was said to have 50 names, each representing a different aspect of his power.
Wow. So, okay, these Anunnakis were clearly deeply woven into how Mesopotamians understood everything, the cosmos, society, origins. What about the claims regarding their influence and this idea that they eventually left?
Well, they were definitely seen as shaping the mythology, providing the explanations for, well, everything. Natural phenomena, why society was structured the way it was, where humans came from. Some interpretations dig deeper, suggesting they had specific, almost earthly jobs, like patrons of cities, founders, teachers, judges, even kingmakers.
Interesting. And you mentioned the word for worship.
Yes, avad. There's a suggestion it might originally have meant something closer to work or service performed for these beings, implying maybe a more direct, less purely devotional relationship initially.
Almost like humans were working for the gods.
That's one way to interpret it, yeah. There's also a fringe idea that maybe the Anunnaki started as mortals who were later deified. But regardless, the epics definitely show them acting very human.
Arguing, having affairs, disagreements.
All of that. Arguments, trickery, revenge, family drama. It makes them relatable in a way. And then there's this perspective found in some interpretations that they eventually abandoned their creation.
Just left?
Sort of withdrew, perhaps, from direct involvement. The details are vague, depending on the interpretation.
Okay, this leads us right to the core of today's discussion. This hypothesis that governments know more, that they have actual evidence about the Anunnaki, but they're deliberately hiding it. What do our sources say about that specific claim?
Well, the materials we're looking at mostly focus on interpreting the ancient texts themselves and analyzing the different theories about the Anunnaki, especially the ancient astronaut stuff. But within a governmental context, reasons for hiding things. That's not really detailed explicitly in these particular sources. It's more about the ancient history and the modern theories interpreting it.
But the popularity of these theories must play a role, like Zecharia Sitchin.
Absolutely. You can't really talk about the modern Anunnaki phenomenon without mentioning Sitchin. His work really popularized these ideas, linking them to extraterrestrials and potential cover-ups.
Okay, so Sitchin's work, it seems pivotal to this whole hypothesis. What were his main arguments about the Anunnaki?
So Zecharia Sitchin became very well known for his interpretations of Sumerian myths. He based these on his own translations of cuneiform tablets.
His own translations.
Yes, and that's a point of contention later. But his core idea was that the Anunnaki weren't just gods, they were actual extraterrestrials.
From where?
From a planet he called Nibiru. He claimed it exists on our solar system, but has this incredibly long orbit, like 3,600 years.
Okay.
And according to his timeline, these beings, the Anunnaki, arrived on Earth about 450,000 years ago.
450,000 years ago. And why did they supposedly come here?
Gold. Sitchin theorized they needed gold specifically to repair or protect the atmosphere on their home planet, Nibiru.
Gold for the atmosphere. Okay.
And he suggested that, mining is hard work. They got tired of doing it themselves. So Enki, remember him, the wise god, suggested using their advanced genetic knowledge.
To do what?
To create workers. Primitive workers, Sitchin called them. He proposed they did this by genetically modifying existing hominids on Earth, like Homo erectus, maybe mixing their own DNA.
Creating humans to mine gold for them.
That's the narrative. It directly connects the Anunnaki not just to visiting Earth, but to the actual origin of Homo sapiens, all driven by this need for gold.
It's quite a story. But these interpretations, Sitchin's work, it's faced a lot of pushback, hasn't it?
Oh, definitely. Within mainstream science and academia, Sitchin's work is overwhelmingly considered pseudoscience and pseudohistory.
Why? What are the main criticisms?
Several things. Firstly, his methodology for translating the Sumerian texts. Scholars in the field say his translations are flawed, often selective, sometimes just incorrect, not matching established linguistic understanding.
So the foundation is shaky.
That's the argument. And then there are his astronomical and scientific claims. The idea of Nibiru, its orbit, its atmospheric needs, none of that lines up with current scientific knowledge about physics or planetary science.
Right.
There are also kind of logical inconsistencies. He talks about them having fiery rockets for space travel.
Which sounds Pretty advanced.
Exactly. But then they supposedly needed to manually mine gold using genetically engineered slaves. If you can do interstellar travel, why the primitive mining setup? It raises questions about the proposed level of technology.
Good point.
Also, his ideas about planetary collisions, which he links to the creation of Earth and the asteroid belt, they differ significantly from the widely accepted giant impact hypothesis for how our moon formed. His ideas actually resemble Immanuel Velikovsky's earlier controversial worlds in collisions stuff. And critics also point out the biological implausibility. Could complex life, advanced enough for space travel, really evolve on a planet like Nibiru, spending most of its 3,600-year orbit way out past Pluto in the freezing dark? Evolving millions of years ahead of Earth life under those conditions seems unlikely, to say the least.
So while Sitchin definitely brought the Anunnaki into popular consciousness as potential aliens, his specific theories don't hold up well under scientific or academic scrutiny.
That's the general consensus, yes.
Which brings us back then to the core question about government concealment. Taking into account the actual ancient texts, the mythological context, and the criticisms of theories like Sitchin's, is there anything in the sources we've looked at that points to a genuine intentional cover-up by governments? Any direct evidence?
Based purely on the information we've examined here, no, there isn't. The focus is almost entirely on interpreting the ancient myths themselves, debating what they meant to the Mesopotamians, and evaluating these more recent alternative theories about extraterrestrials.
So, no smoking gun regarding hidden government files or suppressed artifacts?
Not within these specific sources, no. The debates are really about translation accuracy, the nature of ancient belief systems versus literal history, and the plausibility of these ancient astronaut ideas themselves. There's no mention of, say, government documents or withheld physical evidence.
It's more about interpretation than hidden proof.
Exactly. And it's worth noting, too, that many Anunnaki stories share themes with myths from other cultures. Flood myths, creation epics. You see parallels elsewhere.
Like the story of Utnapishtim and Noah.
Precisely. Which suggests maybe these are common human ways of trying to explain the world, origins, catastrophes, rather than necessarily being distorted records of unique extraterrestrial events. These narratives evolve over time.
So it seems the enduring fascination with the Anunnaki really taps into something deep in us, that curiosity about where we came from and whether we're alone.
I think so. It speaks to that desire for answers, for connection to something ancient or maybe even cosmic.
We've definitely explored the hypothesis of government concealment today, looked at the rich background of Mesopotamian myth, and considered these interpretations that see ancient gods as potential alien visitors.
And it's clear that while the Anunnaki are incredibly compelling figures from ancient texts, and they continue to capture the imagination through various theories,
the actual direct evidence for an intentional government cover-up, at least based on the information we've discussed, just isn't there.
It seems to remain firmly in the realm of hypothesis and interpretation, rather than confirmed fact based on suppressed evidence.
A fascinating dive, nonetheless. It leaves you thinking about how we interpret the past and what we choose to believe about the unknown.
Definitely food for thought.
Thanks for listening to Conspiracist.